wonders in third world countries like Mexico. In Mexico, yeah, it's pretty bad, but in like Haiti and Kenya, Africa, different countries where there's absolutely no government help, there's no welfare system, there's no doctors. You know, if you have a doctor, you got to have a lot of money to go see the doctor and different things like that. And why you see miracles over there, and why you don't see them here. And she was talking about it. She hit it right on the head when she said, because we don't need God over here.
Yeah.
We don't need God when we got Dr. So-and-so.
Yeah.
We don't need God when we got welfare.
Mm-hmm.
And we can get who knows how much. I don't know how it is now, but when we first got saved, we were on the system, and we were getting a lot of money in food stamps back then. And now I know, some people get a few hundred, some people get several, $700-800 a month. That's a lot of money for food. And when you're getting stuff like that, you don't need to pray, give us this day our daily bread. You don't have to pray like that, because you got it all in the cabinets. You don't even have to pray for your food. When you got Medicaid, or not just Medicaid, but any kind of insurance, and you get sick or ill or whatever it is, you can just kind of run to the doctor. You got your card, give them your card, pay your $20 copay or whatever, and man, they give you some pills and you're good as new, and you don't need God. And in different countries, or even in this country, there's people that have refused, to live like that, and I remember when we first got saved, they wanted to control us. Because they do, man. They control you when you're on the system. They tell you what you can do, how much you make, every penny. They ask you where it's going, where it came from, what kind of car you drive. You can't own a car, but you can have a brand new car making $800 payments a month. But you can't have an $800 car because they're going to take from, it don't make sense. And, so, we told them a long time ago, keep your food stamps and keep your AFDC and SSI and all. You can keep it all. We're going to trust the Lord. Or I'm going to go to work. And I did. And we didn't have anything. We didn't have anything and for years and years, we're already in our 50s, and God has been good to us. Many people, 20s, 30s, they're sick. They're always in the doctors, they're always with, all kinds of stuff, whether it's simple, not simple, because some people's allergies are really bad. But if it's allergies or, they hurt their back or whatever it is, God has been so good to us. And we're 50s, but I think God's been so awesome to us. He's kept us healthy and I thank Him for that. Once we turn 50 and stuff, then you start feeling the different things, and going through different things, but in this country, even our homeless are heavy overweight. Our homeless can take $100 or more a day in their pockets to use it for whatever they need, a hotel room or some heroin. You with me? And so that, if they're hurting, it's because they used all their money on drugs, A lot of people that we minister to down on 4th Street, a lot of them get money. So they get their checks every month, so at the beginning of the month, you won't see them down there. You'll see them, they'll probably be up north in some, what is this hotel right here? Value State. And some of them will go get rooms there every first of the month for about a week until it all runs out and they use it, party, till it's all gone, and then they'll go back to the 4th Street and live like that. And that's a cycle. It's not like they're poor. It's like they just mismanage their finances on wrong stuff. Not all of them, but most of them. And they don't need, if they look like they have need or something like that, it's because, they used all their money on drugs or whatever it is they have. Or whatever it is that they're doing, but in different countries you don't have stuff like that. You don't see things like that. You see people, like I said, in Mexico, they have a dump that's over 1 million people in that dump living on the dump of the city that they come and throw their trash and their leftovers and their garbage, and people live there and eat that stuff, and they live on that stuff. You know, over 1 million people, and that's just one dump. There's many, many all over Mexico, and that's just Mexico alone. But I've been to Jamaica. Jamaica's not a very, a wealthy country at all. Its people are, if you're old and you're sick, you're thrown in a home, and it's not like our homes here, our elderly homes, nursing homes. Over there they dump you and they leave you and you're on your own. It's basically they write you off, give you a kiss and tell your mom, bye-bye mom, see you, nice knowing you, and you drive off. And by the people in that country or missionaries or whoever it is, come and bring them individuals food, clothing, whatever it is that they need, bedding, so that they can survive. If not, they're going to die. They'll just die eventually of starvation or whatever. And we've been there, we've seen this. And I'd like to go around the world and see it, other things, and so that I can tell people, what it's like out there. But me and you, we don't understand what it is to have faith. And so when I'm preaching, and I was thinking about this, sometimes when I'm preaching, or whoever it is, whatever pastor's preaching, missionary, evangelist preaching, it's hard to get into the minds of the American people. Because we just do not understand what they're saying. You with me? We're talking about, many, many ministers have made their ministries great because they're slick-tongued, man. And they're able to get in your pocket. You with me? And they're able to tell you whatever it is so that they can get that $20, that $100 bill from you. You know what I mean? We get a few hundred, we get $1,000 here. Just from one offering. You with me? And so they learn to milk. They learn to take from the rich church, even the homeless. I said, I'm going to pull up to them one day. Pull up and roll my window like, hey, bro, you say God bless you, you're a Christian? Yeah. You need to pay your tithes, man. How much do you make today? Give me that 10% of whatever you make. Hit them up, man. I bet you that they give me too. Most of them are nice guys. Most of them are generous people. Are you with me? But we don't understand what it is to be sick there and your kids. You know what I mean? You don't have anything to do for them. All you have is prayer. You with me? All you have is faith in God. You don't have, because some surgeries and different stuff like that you go to, eventually you're going to run out of money. And then doctors, as soon as they check your insurance and that you got Medicaid or whatever it is like, get them out of here. Send them home. You with me? They ain't going to take care of you. And then what you're going to do? Then you have to depend on God. Like the woman with the issue of blood. After she had spent all her money and everything she earned on doctors, they burned her. She was left the same, and she had to turn to Jesus. And he ministered to her life. He healed her. But she turned to him, and that's what I was thinking. A lot of you, the way you're going to know God, the way you're going to experience it, the way you're going to understand, I believe you're my healer. That's a pretty song. But for those of you like myself who've been to death's door, who have been healed by God, who have tasted, man, if God don't intervene, I'm dead. And understand, man, he brought me back. It was only him, and I've experienced that. You're never going to sing that song with all your heart. You're going to sing it because it's a pretty song. But the only way you're ever going to understand it is when you're sick. When you're sick and you don't know what else to do, and all of a sudden God shows up. God shows up and he heals your life, and you're able to sing that song with all your heart. You with me? You're never going to know what it's like to say, you're more than enough, God, until you have absolutely nothing in your life. I thank God for the times he allowed us to be even homeless, church, where we didn't have anywhere to go. You with me? And we're the pastors. Come on now. Amen. Is this on? You hear it, man? Make some noise so that they know you're here on YouTube. Because they're going to be like, man, pastor's preaching to an empty church, man. Amen. But I thank God for those times, man, and the weeping The weeping of the not knowing what's going to happen. The weeping of not knowing what God is going to do in our lives. What am I going to do, God? I tell people, you're all this, God. Why am I going through things like this? Looking back and seeing your kids crying because of fear, because of the hotel room that they did give us was full of roaches and I don't know what else was on that mattress. We just seen things run. My kids said, I don't want to stay here, Dad. And they were just little kids. I remember them so scared and terrified, hiding by the door, wanting to leave that hotel. I said, let's go. And we got in the car and they bundled up and they're crying themselves to sleep. And I'm driving thinking, where are you at? Come on. That's when faith matters. That's when faith happens. It don't happen when you're over here in church singing all happy. How many of you have been going, or don't lift your hands or anything, but you've been going through some hell, you've been going through some stuff in your life, you don't understand it, and maybe you've even asked God, why am you putting me through this? You're right where God wants you to be. Amen. Because God's trying to teach you how to trust Him. Amen. Amen. You can hear your pastor preach all day long. Amen, Pastor. Amen. That was good, Pastor. He did it for you, but He didn't do it. You with me? And until you experience that in your life, you're never going to know what I'm talking about. You're never going to know what it means to have faith in God. You with me? And the enemy comes with that spirit of I don't know what you say. You know how Samson was a powerful man of God, but he had an issue? Yeah. He had some problems. Yeah. And he was laying in the lap of his problem. Yeah. And she stroked his hair and he just loved it, man. He's like, oh my God, she's fine. Be careful who you're putting your head in their lap. Yeah. She was rubbing him to sleep, playing with his locks. You with me? He didn't even know she was the very one who was going to betray him and going to have his eyes gouged out. You with me? He didn't even know. But when he got up to fight, the enemy. He didn't know that the Spirit of God had left him. Yeah. They lulled him to sleep, and that's what happened to the church. That's what happened to the church. Yeah. Is that we've seated in church, and I'm not, not necessarily our church or New Hope or anything like that, but there's churches where they've come in and they've loved them and they've rubbed their head. They told me, you're great, you're awesome, man. You're beautiful, man. All this stuff, and they start getting comfy there in their faith. Because here we try to make you work your faith. Yeah. I had a lady come from Tulsa, Oklahoma, from Azusa Church. And she said, Pastor Carlton Pearson, I don't know if you know anything about church history, one of the greatest pastors that there was in Tulsa. And Pastor Carlton, he's like running a gay church. He kind of just backslid. He kind of went off the deep end. He kind of said we're all inclusive. If you ever hear that word inclusive, church, run from that. Because that means that everybody, no matter what you do, who you are, what sin you have, we're all going to heaven. God wouldn't send nobody to hell. You with me? And that's the kind of church that this lady went to. But at the time she went there, Carlton Pearson's church was on fire. Oral Roberts was one of the founding, not members, but kind of overseers of the church. And mighty men of God and stuff were a part of this Azusa Street revival or Azusa revival that happened in Tulsa. Powerful things happened. And this lady went there. And when she came to Pueblo, she came to our church. She stayed at our church for, maybe a year or so. But she used to say, she said, Pastor, I've been in Azusa Church. She said, well, one of the greatest pastors in the nation. And she said, and you make us work our faith. Amen. Amen. And I thought to myself, I said, well, what did that great man of God do to you? What did he do? Talk about miracles, talk about this, running around the church and knock you down? You get up and you're still the same? And not challenge your faith, not tell you go change the world out there. You with me? Because sometimes we can get lulled to sleep in our churches and think this is Christianity. Oh, I went to church Thursday night. And you think, I'm a Christian. You with me? Because I made it to prayer once a month. I'm a Christian. You with me? Because I read my Bible every morning and I pray. Well, do you know that the Muslims, they pray, how many times? Is it 5 times a day?
I think it's 6.
6 times a day? I know it's a lot. How many times you pray a day? You with me?
Yeah.
So, you know, let's not get it twisted here. Well, I prayed today and this and that, so I'm a Christian. Well, they pray a lot more than you do. Does that make them a Christian? You with me? Amen? But a lot of times the enemy sneaks in the church, lulls us to sleep, or puts the spirit of fear in our lives. That scripture that I gave you, it's in 2 Timothy 1:7. It says this. It says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity. You know what timidity is? It's like shyness. He says, but of power, love, and of self-discipline or self-control or a sound mind. God gave us this, the spirit of power, dunamis, dynamite. Amen. That's going to blow situations up. Amen. A spirit of love, to love the people that we're working with, not just to give to them. Because there's organizations out there that are competing with us. Yeah. They meet us there. They fall. These people are a trip sometimes in the city. I think they just watch us to see what we're going to do, and then they copy us. Yeah. Yeah. You with me? Yeah. But it's an organization that I don't even know who it is. I know Pastor Mark Grego's doing some stuff out there. But this organization, I don't know who they were, it's a trip, because if you see kind of their leaders and stuff, you're going to see some stuff that will blow your mind. But they're giving them rice and food and this and that, and it's like, what's your motive? Yeah. Why are you doing what you do? I know what we're doing, why we're doing what we do. What's your motive out here? Yeah. You with me? Because you got to be giving them something more than food. You got to be giving them hope. You got to be giving them life. You got to be speaking into their lives, and the people know it. They know who we are. You with me? But he said this. He said, God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. God hasn't given to the church a spirit of fear. Are you guys there? Are you in that scripture? Jen, right before 1:7, read me before what it says, just a couple verses before that. Yeah, wherever you think it starts, where he starts talking about his mom and...
Oh, yeah. It says, I am reminded of your sincere faith, the faith that lived first in your grandmother, Lois, and your mother, Eunice, and now I am sure light lives in you. For this reason, I remind you to rekindle the gift of God that is within you, through the laying on of my hands. For God did not give us the spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power, of love, and of self-discipline.
Did you say cowardness?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
He told them, let me pray. Father, thank you tonight for the ability, the privilege to preach your word, Lord. Father, Lord God, I ask you tonight for help. Holy Spirit, I need you tonight. Anoint my lips, my heart, my mind to preach your word the way you want it spoken, in Jesus' name. Amen. He told them, he said, he was talking to him prior to these verses, and he said, I want to remind you to fan into a flame, to stir up the gift of God that's on the inside of you, which was laid on our hands in your life. And some of you have had the privilege to be a part of our services in Denver. Some of you have had the privilege and honor to be in the home in Denver, where you're in anointing almost 24/7. But see, what happens from there to Pueblo? How many men have we sent to their men's homes? How many women have we sent over there to the men's homes? And when they're there, they're on fire. You with me? And what happens from I-25, 225 exit to 100 exit, I don't know what happens there. I do know. what happens is the fire that's been kindled, the laying on of hands that's been on you, you kind of let it go. It's kind of a lazy city, Pueblo. It's kind of a lukewarm city. It's kind of a like, well, I'm not doing, why aren't you the way you were? Well, I'm not doing what I did over there. Why not? How many men's retreats have you guys been in, the men that are here? You with me? We've seen the fire of God hit every altar call. People fall and you with me? Pastor Ray has laid his hands on you. Pastor Gilbert. Some of these mighty men you've seen. B.H. Clendenin has laid his hands on some of you. Come on now. You with me? I can go on and on. How many women of God have laid their hands on you and prayed over you? And he's saying, look at the faith that was in these people was passed down to you. He said, I want you to know something. I want you to remind you, stir that gift up. Because I can't do it for you. I can come, I can preach, I can sing, I can cry, I can scream, I can yell, I can lay hands on you, whatever, but I can't stir you up.
Right.
And what happens is a lot of times we say, well, it's a different atmosphere. When you walk into Pastor Ray's church, it's just a great atmosphere. Yeah. You walk into an anointing, you walk into, wow. Look at this huge, amazing building. Look at the people. Look at that. Look over there. Oh, the ladies. Wow, they don't do that at our church.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
What they do at our church? Well, they come late, drink coffee. Come on. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Running late, because we're busy about our lives, and things have changed. The atmosphere has changed. Why have we changed? You know how hard it is to try and carry that anointing and that stuff all by myself? Of course, my wife's on fire too. You with me? But do you know how hard it is? You know how hard it is to feel dragged down, trying to carry this church? Come on. Is this thing on? You with me? While you feel like, well, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to fast. I don't have to pray. If I come to prayer, well, if I don't, pastors are going to have to deal with it because I really don't care what he thinks. If I give, praise God. If I don't, that's my business. They should just mind their own business. Come on. If I witness and evangelize, whatever it is, that's my business. And, I'm going to just, I'm dealing with some stuff in my life. And come on now, things changed. Yeah. He said, I want to remind you to stir into a flame the gift of God that's been laid on the inside of you. I didn't put it there. Hello?
That's right.
I didn't put it there.
That's right, man.
He did.
Yeah.
He put it inside of you. You know what keeps me going? It's the gift of God that's been placed on the inside of me. And sometimes that's the only thing that keeps me going. You with me? It's the gift of God. Stir it up, son. Stir it up. Because guess what? And I don't say this to be mean, and I don't say this, for you about me either, is that you guys are not the ones that stir me up. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not the one that stirs you up. Maybe I preach, maybe I say so, maybe my wife preaches, she encourages you and stuff like that, but you gotta go home.
Yeah.
And that, you with me?
Yeah.
The only one that's gonna keep you going, the only one that's gonna stir you up, the only one that's gonna keep that fear away from you, because that fear will jack you up.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you guys, have you ever been in the Illiches or in that wave pool?
Yeah.
Man, it's fun when you're on the beach part about it and it's splashing you and it's a hot day. And you get over there towards the front and that thing starts coming at you and you lose control.
Yeah.
Man, I've almost drowned 2 or 3 times in that thing. Go back for more. Because I know, man, there's some lifeguards that could probably save me, But when you're overwhelmed and when you're out of control, it's a trip.
Yeah.
and you start to get fearful.
Yeah.
And when you're fearful, you start making some really dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
Some bad mistakes in your life.
Yeah.
You with me? And that's why he was telling Timothy, because Timothy was a young pastor. Timothy was a young man in the ministry who was dealing with older dudes who wouldn't listen. Now I know all you guys listen, so I don't have to go there. But he was dealing with all these people thinking, well, we know better than you. And believe me, you guys are in our church, and so you have that reverence and you have that respect for your pastors and stuff. But you'd be surprised how many people out there, even other pastors, other ministers, individuals that would look down upon me and my wife. Think about us 20-something years ago. Just wet behind the ears. You with me? Starting a church, who do they think they are? And people wouldn't even help us. People wouldn't even, you imagine that? You're stepping out in faith. You're doing something you think God wants you to do. And people are telling you, that's not God. That's not God at all. As a matter of fact, some people told us, you guys are going to fail. You know that some people have the audacity to tell us this. They said this, because you're stepping out in rebellion, your children will be molested. Could you imagine that, sister? What a blessing to go out of the church with. That somebody will molest your children for walking away from the church. You know what I mean? It made me mad, but my wife was just heartbroken. Imagine that. You love your kids to death. That's your everything. And for somebody to not say something about you, say something about your kids, that something so bad will happen to them. I don't even remember who it is, but forgive them, Lord, for saying anything like that. Because what you sow, you're going to reap it, And we pray that never happened, but, fear. The enemy comes against you with fear. Let me show you this, the definition of fear that I got from the Greek. The Greek translation for the word fear is the word phobos. Sound familiar? Phobos? Phobia. Phobia is a fear. Phobia of spiders. What is it? Arachnophobia or something like that? How many of you have ever heard people have a fear of clowns? Clowns are some of the supposed to be funny and happy and party. And people, they see these clowns and they freak out. Or whatever it is. A fear of, I don't know. We could have had a fear of people molesting our kids. You with me? Why? Because somebody sowed a seed. Let me say this to you tonight. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God.
Amen.
Fear also comes by hearing. But it's not by the word of God, it's by the word of man. Or the word of a demon-influenced person that speaks into your life, that you begin to believe that. So for the rest of your life, you're watching over your children to make sure who you know what I mean? And believe me when I tell you, we've been around people like this, that I would not even want to babysit their kids. I would not even change their diaper. You with me? Because I know the way they are. I said, no way, I'll never even, you pee, poop, you're going to stay that way until your mom, or whatever it is, because I ain't touching you. My own children, I raised 4 girls. Took care of them. My wife, she rolls her eyes, and when did you take them baths and all that? No, I did. I changed their diapers, I took them baths, and my little girls were, you with me? But for, you know what I mean? And even some of my grandkids, I have no problem changing the diaper or anything like that. But certain people, because of their mindset, who watched it? What did they do? Who was in the nursery? Who took care of them in there? Because they had something on them or they were hurting down there. And you know what I mean? And you start to, you got to be careful with these people. Because they'll start saying stuff. Somebody molested my child or something like that. And how are you going to argue with that?
Yeah.
You with me? How are you going to say it's not true and they're saying, well, look, there's evidence? You know?
Yeah.
Who knows where that came from? Who knows what happened? But there's people who have this phobia of their children being molested,
Yeah.
or of spiders, or of clowns.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
And they live this life, this phobos, this fear. He said, I didn't give you that spirit. I didn't give you a spirit of failure.
That's right, amen. Amen.
I don't know what you'd say the opposite of power is. Speaking of dynamite, speaking of destruction in a good way, like blowing through a mountain that you're going to put a train track through and get to your destination easier and faster, something that's a positive breakthrough. What is the opposite of power? Just, I don't know, destruction? Failure? Of people saying stuff to you? Oh, you know what? This is happening. You know what? You remember when the 911 hit? 91? No, when was it? 2001? Is that when it was? 2001?
Yeah.
That they came and they said, man, the world, what is it? The buildings have been, bombed and we're going to be at war. The price of gas is about to go up to $9, $10 a gallon. You better go now. We were having our daughter's birthday party at, of all places, Peter Piper Pizza. Remember when it was over here by the 29th Street?
Yeah.
We were having our daughter's birthday party there. Everybody that was involved in the party freaked and they took off, man, to go put gas. They went to the gas stations. There was lines, man, down the block. People, me, trying to get in there fighting to get gas and all this different stuff. I said, don't even trip. We stood there and we had my daughter's party. We didn't go put gas after. We didn't trip. We didn't freak out. She got hurt because it was her birthday and everybody left. And she was mad. Why did everybody leave? Because of fear. Because of fear comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of man. You with me?
Yeah.
And people, what is it, in the year 2000, Y2K,
Yeah.
churches were stockading their churches with water, food, anything, candles, generators. I think, what's his name, Jim Baker. Anybody ever see him on TV?
Yeah.
Jim Baker's still selling generators. He is. He got out of prison, came out, went back on TV, and now he's selling little generator packs that you can get. And I guess, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like, this thing will light your whole house up and all this different stuff. People are buying all this stuff, and I'm like, these guys are still doing this stuff. And everybody thought the world was going to end. We had people come to church that would have never came to church New Year's Eve. They were here waiting for the countdown of midnight. Because of fear, not because of faith, because they wanted to surrender all to God and get saved and start a new year because of fear. And guess what? They're out there worse than ever today. It's phobos. It comes from the word phobos. And it means fear. It means horror. It means the definition. That was from the Greek. The definition from the internet said to be afraid of something or someone as likely to be dangerous, painful, or threatening. Remember, my wife was talking about it. She said God told Joshua not to be afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee. Joshua was, could you imagine? Pastor Ray wants me to come and speak for him on a Wednesday night here soon. And I'm trembling, thinking of calling him and saying, all right, hook me up, set me up for this Wednesday, because I want to please my pastor more than anything in this world. And when I have to preach in front of him, especially at his church, when my knees are knocking, and I'm scared to death. And so I just kind of put it off, and I'm waiting for him to call and say, all right, I want you to come this day. You know, so I'm just kind of putting it off until he tells me when to go. And it's not because I'm afraid of it, afraid like terror or horror. It's just nerves, I guess. I always get nervous around Pastor when it comes to ministry, man. I don't eat, I lose sleep. Oh man, so it's like I'm just kind of doing my thing until he calls me up and says he wants me to come. But it's it's more of a holy fear, it's more of a reverent fear for my pastor than anything else. Because I don't want to be just like, think I'm all that and walk in there like this powerful preacher and all this stuff, man. It's like, Lord, you know what I mean? That's what I was telling you. God told Joshua not to be afraid, not to be dismayed. And the word dismayed, we seen what fear, what horror, what terror is about being afraid. That never comes from God. But dismay meant this. It meant to cause someone to feel consternation. I didn't look that word up. I should have looked that word up. To cause somebody to feel consternation or distress, stressed out. To horrify or to shake up. Have you ever been involved in like maybe an automotive accident? And it hits you, freaks you, and you're shaking, you can't even think, you're just all messed up, or for whatever reason, right? Yeah. Just shook you up. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't even think straight. Your heart's pounding, you know what I mean? And that's what dismayed and all down, all jacked up. God told Joshua, I was telling you, could you imagine Joshua fitting into Moses' shoes? Moses brought him out of Egypt. Moses led him to the Red Sea. Moses caused the earth to open and swallow some people that were jacking with him. You with me? Manna from heaven came from Moses, hit a rock and water came and fed millions of people. And now I'm going to be up after him? And you want me just to, come on. I said, it's the same way that I feel going to Pastor Ray's. He said, but don't be afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And then he tells him again, did I not tell you not to be afraid? And God has to talk to me sometimes 2 or 3 times. He told him 3 times. He said, all right, I already told you. Stop being afraid. Huh? Yeah. Like the lion on the Wizard of Oz. And then he was scared chasing his own tail was chasing him around. And what he needed was some courage, man. Huh? That's what Joshua needed, was some courage. That's what Pastor needs. Pray for Pastor. God, give him courage to get in there and preach over there at the New Hope Denver. He said, don't trip out, don't freak out. Anytime God asks you to do something for him, you with me? It shouldn't be just something easy. Your knees ought to be knocking. God will never ask you to do something that you can do within your own ability. He'll never, I can do that, I can do that. That's cool, but it's probably not. I mean, it's not that it's not God, but it's not God asking you to do something great. It may be somebody asking you to do something well, I can do that, and you get in there and you do a good job. When God asks you to do something, Sonny Arganzoni said it's a supernatural sized, you with me, thing that God does, something that you absolutely cannot do on your own. And it ought to scare any part of hell out of you. You with me? It ought to make your knees knock. It ought to, anytime in Moses, man, remember Moses in Exodus 3? God told him, I've heard the cries of my people, Israel. They've been in Egypt for 40 years? Or 400 years? He tells him, I want you to go and set my people free. Moses said, who am I, Lord? I'm a young guy. God, I stutter. Huh? I can't do this. Isn't somebody else available? Anytime God asks you to do something for him, it'll freak you out.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah.
It'll shake you to the core in a good way, though.
Yeah.
Not in a horror way, not in a terrifying way, but in a holy way that's going to cause greatness to rise up inside of you.
Amen.
You with me?
Amen.
I don't know if any of you seen the little, I don't know her name, Sister Pastor Glenn's daughter. She's at ORU, she's in the Bible college, and she preached for Pastor last Sunday night, I think. She got up there, man, I'm telling you, her and Glenn are only this tall. Beautiful. He's one of the most beautiful men I know as a man of God. You with me? I mean, somebody that I would say, just by knowing him, he outshines most pastors I know. His family is just awesome, man. His daughter got up there and she preached for Pastor on Sunday night. And I'm telling you what, she talked about being scared to death. She got up there and she flowed. And some of you will probably say the same about me. You say, man, you know what they're saying? Man, you were torn up, Pastor. Yeah, but that's, you didn't know.
Amen.
You know, what I went through before that. And she said, man, you don't know what I went through, for this. But she said, it looked like she was experienced. Like some of these ladies, they get to do the main conferences. I was just freaking out on her. You with me? And she just did a tremendous job. And I'm like, she get nervous. She tore it up. She did it in her way, though. You with me? She taught and she ministered to people, and especially the young people. You with me? But it was like, you'll never know what God can do through you until you step out in faith.
Amen.
And anytime you do something for God, there ought to be some kind of holy nervousness in you. Anytime you think you can just step up and do something and not be nervous and not pray about it and not, have to, study and do all this stuff, then pride is in the way.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to touch very many hearts.
Yeah.
And it's all about touching people's hearts. It's all about moving people for God. He told Joshua's son, you're next, you're it. Moses is dead, bro. Step in there, son, and do great things. Joshua did. He rose up to the occasion. There was times where Jesus had to appear to him. What are you doing praying? Because sometimes even in our praying, we're there nervously praying, and God's like, what are you still praying for? Get up and go. He says, are you on my side or on the enemy's side? He said, no, I'm the commander of the host of God. Don't ask me that. Get out there and go take that city for God. You with me?
Amen.
And it was a spirit of power, a spirit of love, a spirit of sound mind that caused men to rise to greatness. And not only men, but many women. You with me?
Amen.
Esther, Ruth, Naomi, mighty women of God. Deborah. Deborah had to lead a men's army because the men wouldn't go. They asked the woman, Deborah, would you ride with us and lead us into battle? Because nobody wants to lead. And she said, I will, but I want you to know today that a woman's going to get the glory for this battle that's going to be won. Not a man, a woman will get the glory. And Deborah got the glory for that battle that she led a bunch of scared men into. You with me? That's why, ladies, you guys need to rise up. You're over there wondering where Prince Charming is. He ain't coming. He ain't coming until you're out there and your horse leading the way. I mean, babe, can't babe. Come on now. Fear is one of the things that keeps us from doing anything for God. That's why the messages that I preach about going and praying for somebody, lay hands on the sick people. And you got your family around, Uncle Esther, and your grandma there, and everybody there, and you're gonna walk up and you're gonna ask, cousin, can I pray for you, cousin? And they're all looking at you, and your eyes peering through your back, and everything else, and who she thinks she is. Because it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks when your family comes against you, when your family questions you, like Jesus' own brothers questioned him. And told him, Jesus, come on now. You with me?
Yeah.
You need to come with us. We need to take you down here to the Loqueria on 17th Street. because you lost it, bro. Now you think you're God and this and that. Come on. And he said, who is my mother and who are my brothers? But those that do the will of God. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine what his mother felt like? She was tripping out. She was trying to minister to Jesus in a natural way, saying, we just want to save our son. They're going to kill him. And Jesus said, woman, what have I to do with you? And he looked at some of the elderly women that were there, or some of the mamas that were there, and said, these are my mothers. Could you imagine maybe what she felt like at that moment? What their brothers felt like? That they even questioned if he was the Son of God? You with me? And it was, you know, and your family means well. Some of the biggest problems that we've ever had with people trying to raise up in ministry or anything like that is their family. And your family means well. They love you, they care about you, but they're not walking in the kingdom of God. They're not walking in the Spirit of God. They're not walking in faith. And they're trying to tell you the best that they know what you should do, how you should do it. You with me?
Yeah.
And you got to understand there's got to be a separation there. I love you to death, Grandma. Mom, I love you, I respect you, I honor you, but you don't know what you're talking about, woman. You with me? Huh? Amen? But the fear comes from friends and family who mean well in your life. You with me? You guys are going down there to 4th Street. Aren't you afraid that something's going to happen? You're taking the babies down there. The little kids are around there. What if there's chomos there? That's irresponsible as a parent to take your kids down there where there's an opportunity. No. You know, one of the things, we've had men in our house, living in our home. We have 4 daughters. You don't even know the things people said about what if they're over there with their pretty daughters in the house and them perverts are there, you know, who knows what, you know what I mean? And there is that opportunity. But I trust God that God's big enough. I'm not going to walk in fear. I'm going to do what God called me to do.
Amen.
You with me? I'm not going to walk in fear.
Amen.
And that's the thing about the church is a lot of times they walk in fear and they never do anything for God. They never step out like Peter. He said, Jesus, if that you bid me to come to you on the water, and Jesus said, come. And he got out on a liquid, and it became a solid. And he walks towards Jesus. He walks several steps, not just one. He walks towards Jesus, and then he started noticing the wind and the waves. Took his eyes off Jesus. Fell, but the good thing about it is he was close enough. Jesus picked him up. He said, why'd you fear? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you little faith. Get in the boat. And I tell people, I said, I'd rather be a wet water walker than a dry boat rider any day. Let them sit in the boat and let them mop. Let them sit in there and say, why does Pastor Vince get to go do this or do that? Or why is he doing that? Who does he think he? Oh, shut up and just sit there. Just enjoy your little seat that you got in the boat. I'm walking on water, baby. I'm stepping out in faith. I'm doing what God asked me to do. You got to stop listening to the enemy. And he uses people. Amen? I said, God doesn't give us this spirit, but the spirit of power, love, and of sound mind. Anytime you are trying to serve the Lord or do something great for God, the devil will attack you with a spirit of fear to paralyze you so that you will never move out for God. The devil will always come. Well, what about, what about this? What about that? I remember when we went we had the privilege, we raised the thousands of dollars that it cost me and my wife to go to Jamaica. To go, not on vacation, to a mission trip. To go minister to people's lives, to pray for them. Like I said, the people in the nursing homes that have been left there by their families. And I remember praying for a dude that had no eyes. He has sockets. When you looked at him, he just had holes like skin in his head, like sockets skinned over. and praying for him. I remember a lot of guys had one leg, and I don't know what that was about, but a lot of the old men had one leg. You with me? And different things. But the day before we were going to leave to go to Jamaica, and we had to deal with a lot of stuff, because remember, my dad was always against us, always saying bad stuff about us, talking about us going on vacation, leaving our 5 kids here, all kinds of stuff, you know. I said, we ain't going on vacation, Dad. We're going to go minister the gospel. We did, man. We did. It was powerful. But the day before we went to Jamaica, we were at the park, Mineral Palace, I think it was. We were having a barbecue. I don't know what it was, but we had a barbecue and different things, and the kids were playing softball with the bat and the ball. And my son was like the catcher, I think. And one of my pastor's daughters had the wood bat, big wood bat, man, and she hit that ball, boom, and she went back, threw it and took off running, and that bat hit my son right in the mouth, and he was like your son, like Diego, maybe a little younger, and broke all his teeth out. He's standing there screaming, and his teeth are knocked in and falling out of his mouth and stuff. We had to go to Jamaica the very next day. We're in the emergency room the night before with my son. They're stitching over and under thread through his teeth to hold him in. You know, all this stuff, he's screaming and freaking out, and we're like, should we cancel? So, you know what I mean? And all this stuff, and the enemy, he tried to stop us from going to preach the gospel. He always does that. And when we went and we preached, I think that time I think we won maybe over 1,000 people to Christ that one trip.
Amen.
Over 1,000 people to Christ. I know we went twice. One time I took some men in a youth group, and one time me and my wife and some other people went, some other youth too. But I know there was 500 the first time, 1,000 the second time. God moved in a powerful way, but anytime you ever try and do something for God, the devil's going to stick his ugly head up. Yeah. And he's going to try and stop you. And I remember that night, man, our hearts were broken. My son was all jacked up. We were at my house, and God told me, I want you to have communion. You know what I was thinking? You may never see your children again. You're going over the ocean and water, man, in a plane. Something could happen out there. And I remember looking at my kids and we're crying, man. And we had communion with our children. And we said, if we never see you again, if something was to ever happen to us, if we don't ever see you again, we'll see you in heaven. And we had communion, man. And I talk about Oron, and it was an emotional time that we're going to go do something for God and have to leave our kids behind. It was hard but powerful. You with me? And anytime you ever want to step out for God, the enemy will be right there. Even coming to church. Sometimes I'll see some of you ladies struggling even with your kids. And you know what I mean? You got to understand. You know what I mean? It's the devil. He's trying to upset you. He's trying to get you mad. He's trying to freak you out. And most people, and I thank God for some of you that are here tonight, that, you know, and even some of the ladies, one of the nights, I don't remember when it was New Year's Eve, you know, she had to take her kid out, remember, and bring him back in and stuff. I thank God you don't get upset and run off and go home. You with me? Because that's exactly what the devil wants you to do. Just take them, deal with them, bring them back in here. And sit down and worship and praise God. And tell devil, you're not going to destroy my worship. You're not going to mess my time up. You can throw a wrench in there, and it might take me a few minutes to fix this problem, but I'm going to get back in there, I'm going to worship. You're not going to have your way. You know what I mean? Because he'll do whatever he can do to upset you. You with me? To cause, you know, when people, when doctors, when others say this is going to happen to your child, your baby's going to, they were, you know, my Brookie that's here, my granddaughter Brooklyn, I remember when my daughter-in-law called me and said, they just told me Brooke's going to have emergency surgery as soon as the baby's born. Her kidneys, liver or kidneys. One of them was like, was tiny, and another one was almost normal, but they were saying that something was wrong with her, and this happens to us all the time. we just roll our eyes at the devil and say they're going to be all right. And she said, how do you know that? We just know. We're going to pray. And she's going to be all right. God's going to heal her body. My wife was saying something the other night about Christian too. Amber had such a hard, I think it was Christian. With Christian, you know, this and that about him and his stomach, his umbilical was out and this and that. And we said, we're going to pray. I mean, I don't know how many of our grandkids, how many of even our kids, that things that doctors have said this, people have said that, you know, they've been diagnosed with this. We're going to pray. We're going to pray. We're going to believe God's word. What good does it do for us to come to church, read our Bibles, and do all this if we're not going to have faith? If we're not going to activate that faith and say, God, do what you're best at, Lord. I know what this doctor said, but God, you don't know what he said. It's all right. Yeah, Doc, we understand, huh? How many times have we seen it? How many, you know, whatever it is, testimonials, and we see God do miracles in people's lives. Should have been dead, we're this, we're that, you know, all this stuff. And yet God comes through and does a miracle. Because he's God. But I'm telling you, the enemy, and expect it. Expect it, that he's going to come and he's going to say something dumb. Expect people to say stuff that's going to check your faith, that's going to maybe even get you angry at times. You know what I mean? Realize, man, we don't wrestle flesh and blood. But Prince, I got to go to prayer tonight. If we wrestle principalities and powers and rulers of the darkness of this world, spiritual wickedness in high places, I got to go pray. I got to get in there, I got to pray, I got to bind some demons, I got to cast some stuff out. I got to, you with me? Cast down this negative thinking. The weapons of our warfare, right? You guys came back from a women's conference one time, all pumped up about the weapons of our warfare and our carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And it's nice and it's awesome, and we get pumped up and we do all that, but he gave it to you for a reason. Because you're going to have to use your gun. You're going to have to use those weapons. You know, come on. Huh? You're going to have to use your faith. And all these powerful words and this and that, and then something happens. And it's like, oh my God, you know, what am I going to do? Go watch YouTube. What did Pastor preach just the other night? Huh? Watch it again, get it in your spirit, and then come out fighting, sneaker the devil.
Amen.
Let him pretend like he's got you down, you know what I mean? And then just wham, sneaker him. He won't even know what happened. He'll be picking teeth up by the time. He's like, what happened here? I just faked you out.
Amen.
I snuck up on you, and you thought you had me down, devil.
Amen.
And whammo, right in the kisser. You guys remember Jackie's Mason? The honeymooners, wasn't it him that would say, oh, one of these days he would tell us about, whammo, right in the kisser. Sometimes you need to tell the devil, one of these days I'm going to knock you out. When he's not looking, hit him hard, man. Hit him hard with the word, hit him hard with your faith. But everything I'm telling you now, you know, I mean, it's good and it's nice, but until you actually work it in your life, you're not going to care. You're not going to know. You might clap, you might say amen, but till you actually go through it and put it into practice and stuff, then you're going to say, oh, now I know what he's talking about. Or maybe you've already done that in your life. Maybe you've already, and sometimes, believe me, you have to work your faith every day. I've been saved over 30 years, man. And man, sometimes I wonder, God, I got to stir my faith up, God. I got to stir this gift up. They don't have the gift that you gave me. God, I need to stir this up, God. Because if I don't believe it, then who's going to believe it? Come on now. If you don't believe in what you're saying and what you're telling people, nothing's going to work for you. You've got to believe that in yourself, and you've got to apply it and put it into practice. Faith comes by hearing. That's why it's so important that you don't miss services. People think, that's all right if I miss one service, or no, it's not all right. Why, Pastor? What's the big deal? Well, because when the enemy comes, I tell people this, and I don't know if you can understand this. I said it's almost like this big glass right here is a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle. And every service is a piece. Have you ever had a puzzle and you can't find a piece?
Yeah.
And man, it might be all pretty, everything, but you look and there's that piece.
Yeah.
And I tell people every service is one of those pieces. And every time you miss, you're missing one of those pieces. Thank God for YouTube.
Yeah.
Hello?
Amen.
Thank God you can go back and watch it, but it's not the same. I tell people it's never the same. The anointing, you can't feel it through the TV.
Yeah.
You don't know what happens when he shuts that camera off and the altar call comes. You don't know what happens.
Yeah.
What do? You just stand there twiddling your thumbs, and now what do I do?
Yeah.
Nobody prayed for you. You didn't come and experience. You didn't come and say, God, help me. You know what I mean? It's just like TV off. It's like watching a good movie. And then you're done, and you're all emotional and everything else, and all choked up, and it's done. You gotta get up and get your popcorn and stuff and kind of walk out like you're cool. You're all emotional and everything. Huh? Everything matters. You with me? Everything matters. You know, when it comes to the thing, because I'm hearing the word. That's why it's important for you to hear the word in your personal life. Whether it's turning your radio on, driving to work, or through the music. Music ministers like nothing else, man. Not, you know, I mean, it's got to be the praise and the worship of God. You with me? And stirring yourself up, encouraging yourself, maybe even fellowshipping over a cup of coffee, and you encourage one another. That's what keeps you going. And in those hard times, man, when nobody's there, thank God for Jesus. Thank God you can fall on your knees and He's right there every time. Because a lot of times, you know, I mean, we expect, man, you know what I mean? We expect everybody to be there, run, hop, skip, and jump for us. And when it comes to us doing it, sometimes we're not so skippy or helpful.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
But whenever there's nobody, and God will let you, this happen to you, where every door, every person you ask will be shut. Every person will say, no, I can't help you. No, I don't have $20 for your light bill. It's about to be turned off. I can't help you. And God will let it happen to you. So that you have nowhere else to turn but on your knees, on the floor, crying out to God, saying, God, I don't know what else to do. And He's like, shh, it's about time. About time you come to me. About time you pray and ask me. So that I can show you great and mighty things.
Amen.
You've got to prove God for yourself. Remember that. You've got to prove God for yourself who He is. I don't care. You can read your Bible all day long and there are awesome stories. But if you never experienced this God in that Bible, all it is a book to you. You've got to know who He is. This way you can trust Him when you're in trouble, when you're hurting, when you're lost. You with me? And you can't even see. And man, I mean, you're in darkness, but you still have faith. God, I know you're with me, Lord. I know you, even though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you're with me, God. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me, God. Come on, you're going to prepare a table before me in the face of my enemy, God. My cup overflows. You anointed me with oil, God. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me every day. Come on, goodness and mercy. Let's get out of this place. We're not staying in this hellhole. We're not staying in the, come on, valley of death. Let's get out of here. The blessings will follow you. Come on now. You with me? And you'll know God for yourself.
Amen.
One guy told the pastor one day, he told him, he said, Pastor, I want to have you a challenge. He said, I want to quote Psalms 23. And he said, man, I learned it. I know it word for word. Every word of Psalms 23. And I want to, in front of the church, have you this challenge, you know, that we're going to quote the scripture. And the pastor, he refused. He said, I'm not going to do that in front of the church. I'm not trying to prove anything. Guy insisted, and to finally the pastor, he said, all right, let's do whatever so we can go on with the service. And The guy got up there, man. For the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He went through the whole Psalms 23, came to the end, and the people clapped. That was good. That was good. And then he goes, all right, Pastor, come on, you do it now. The pastor got up there and he began to speak Psalms 23. And he said, you know, the Lord's my shepherd, and I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet water. And tears started to roll down the faces of the people. And when he was done, the people were weeping and the people were just praising God. And the man freaked out. He said, what was the difference? He said, well, you knew the Psalms that talked about the shepherd. He says, Pastor knows the shepherd personally.
Amen, amen.
And that's what touched the heart of the people. He experienced it. He went through it. He knows this God of the Bible. He doesn't know about him. He knows him. My desire for you is that you know this God of the Bible, that it wouldn't be you hear testimonies of the ladies or Pastor Susan and Pastor Vince, and then you go out there and man, you struggle so much you just eventually quit and give up and say, oh, God wasn't real. No, he's real. He's real. But you've got to, and I'm telling you, you say, well, it's because of them hard times I quit. It's because of those hard times that God's going to bring you through. And if you don't quit, man, I'm telling you what, God's going to use you in a mighty way. But it's those struggles that make you know who he is. It's the hard times, it's the sickness that show you who this healer is. It's the provider, you with me? Jehovah Jireh, who you experience when you ain't got no way out. You're busted. There's no money, no way out. You experience God come through in a miracle. You're going to be able to tell people, I know who he is. I know who he is, and if you just trust me, if you just listen, let me pray for you, God's going to touch you too. Amen? And that takes away the fear. You with me? When you stir that up, you remember who he is to you. Remember who sowed into your life. Remember who laid their hands on you. Remember who wept with you. Remember who believed in you. Remember their faith. Stir yourself up. Say, oh man, I went through too much to give up now. Come on. You with me? I'm going to trust the Lord. I'm going to believe God. That's why we're here 30 years later. That's why we tell you what we do. And sometimes it's even, we come to a place, or I do at least, and my wife, she seems always like a rock, man, but I come to places at times where I'm like, man, man, I'm already 52 years old. Man, I don't know if that seems old. Not old to you, but to me, you know what I mean? We've been running. How many years do you work at a place? How many of your parents? My mother-in-law worked at Mountain Bell for 30 years. My mother worked for the government for 35 years. We're almost at 35 years of running for God with all our hearts. Sometimes I feel it, and our knees are wore out. Come on now. Come on. You with me? Man, I'm tired. I see my wife, she's getting tired. You with me? And it's like, gee, we might be young, but guys, we've ran harder than most pastors out there. And so, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know what? We just need a church to rise up and say, we got you, Pastor. Man, we got you. We got this. Let us run for you. Let us do it. We'll do it. Come on, somebody. Huh? You know, like it's like your kids, you know, when they get old, and I think your kids ought to be taking care of you. I told my mom the other day, I went to see her, and she was going to, I don't know where to the dentist. She was going down the hall to go get her teeth cleaned. And I said, well, they said, well, do you always use a wheelchair? She goes, no, I got my walker. She said, but my strong son is here today. And I thought I'd let him push me, and I said, yeah, sucker. He said, man, I pushed her down. I said, she can walk, but she's making me push her so she can relax. And I said, my kids better push me one day. And the nurse said, yeah, be better. Huh? I'm going to say, I can walk on my own, but push me. And I think your kids ought to grow up. Your kids ought to be the ones to bless you and push you down the hall, to wipe your mouth when it's dirty. Come on, to help you out, to lift you up. Say, you know what, Mom, I got this. I got this. I love you. You with me? And to raise up. To rise up and become who God wants. Because I'm not going to pastor this church forever. Huh? One of these days I'm going to say, Charlie, I'm going to retire, man. I'm going to go to the Jamaica. I'm going to go to, I mean, we got, you know what I mean? You never know how long you got to live. But all you can do is do, you know, he said, you take the faith that your mama, your grandmother Eunice, and your mom, whatever the mom's name was, he said there was a blessing, a generational blessing that was passed down to you, son. And I hear Angela talk about it, and when she gets up here and when she prays, I can hear Nelly inside of her. You with me? I seen a picture of you guys for the other day for New Year's Eve or Christmas or something. Or we took pictures. It's on the internet, on the email, on the, what is it, web page? You and your mom were there, and Sister Rosalie and Vicky were there, and they were, you and Clement, they were there, and I was like, man, that's neat, man. Pass it down. It's passed down. It's a torch. That faith is a torch that you have to teach your kids, and you have to show them through your life, your struggles, that you didn't quit. Mijo, it's your turn. Take it. I can't run no more. Here it is, man. Take it. Honey, it's you with me? It's your turn. Run hard. He said, if you're going to run, then run to win. If you're going to fight to get the championship, man. Don't fight in there shadow boxing. He said, get in there, knock him out. And Paul said it. He said, I've run my race. I've finished my course. He said, my life's being poured out like a drink offering. And he imparted it to Timothy. He said, son, stir it up. Things I taught you, things we were together, things you heard me preach, stir it up, Timothy. Man, I laid my own hands on you. You with me? He was imparting into a different generation. That's what we got to do. You got to stop thinking of you and what you're going through and your struggles. You got to think of, man, I'm fighting not for just me. I'm fighting for my kids too. I'm fighting for the next generation of young people that come in, that are going to hear this and they're going to run with it. And you can be like the grandma on the stands cheering your grandsons on. And come on now. Say, man, I remember when I was young. I don't ever want to say that. And I hope that God I never, man, when I was young, I used to do this. I'll be like, Caleb, man, give me this mountain, Lord. Give me the mountain. Give me the battle, man. I'm not done yet.